Yeah, dude. But no, it's pretty fucking hey, what's up, Bailey? Pretty fucking good week overall on my side of the board. I have a couple people who I've decided are going to be prepping this year now officially. So
Nice.
I have Wes who has a little bit left of this growth phase and he gets in shape pretty quick. So we'll probably like kind of start his like pre-prep phase in a cruise phase. So his prep will be a little bit shorter. It won't quite be like the 24 week, like 20-week prep because he gets in shape pretty quick. But Wes is going to be doing Minnesota State and potentially uh, the Holiday Classic, whatever the fuck it's called.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I have also my one of my female clients, Carissa. We decided that we're gonna do Minnesota State in November, so she's gonna start her pre-prep phase here in a couple weeks too. So now it's pretty
Nice.
much onslaught the whole way. Like summer, fall, it's just gonna be straight bang bang
Grind.
bang. I had some natural people going in August too as well. So yeah, dude, it's good. But you have your first peak of the season
This
this
weekend.
weekend too. So that's exciting.
Pumped, dude. Pumped. Yeah, it's it'll be cool because, like I said, we haven't had a lot of time to work together. So
Mhm.
I'm like I said, this like we've talked about it last episode. This wouldn't be my usual route, but he said he wanted to do it, needed to check that box before the off season. So I'm like, all right, let's just go do the damn thing. It was pretty cool. I didn't realize that the St. Louis show is a pro am, so it'll be really
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
Because I got a friend named Taylor out in where the fuck is she? I think she's in fucking the West Coast right now. She's a wellness pro. She'll be competing at that, so it'll be cool to see her. She looks wild right now. So it'll be just a cool taste to just see some pro athletes at the venue. You know what I mean? It's always awesome to see that level of talent.
Yeah.
But I'm excited, man. He's cleaning up by the day. My buddy Ricky's been helping him with posing, so that's the biggest thing. Even when I sent his photos over to Lacey, she was like, "You don't even need to worry about peaking him." She's like, "He needs to fucking fix his posing," because she's like,
Yeah.
"You could peak him per." She was like, "You could peak him perfectly on Saturday, Lance, and if he doesn't know how to get into the shot, it doesn't fucking matter." And I was like,
Is
"That's
this
a
the
great
guy
point."
who did the same show as
Devo show,
Devo?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
that you
yeah, yeah.
picked up. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, dude,
Yeah,
he has a really good like shape,
a lot of
so
muscle.
just needs
Yeah, dude.
time. Just needs time.
Yeah,
I picked up a guy today who's coming over from another coach. Same scenario. He was gonna
nice.
prep for a show in October. I'm like, hey, look, man, like you have a great foundation here, but like we have a lot of other things that we need to fix about this process before we do show. So
Yeah,
I was like, we're probably thinking that instead he'll be doing a show like more like March of
nice.
27, which is perfect
Plenty of
because
time.
he's in a decent spot right now. He's already in the middle of a cycle, like 11
Nice.
weeks in, and the coach he's with before was going to have him start prep in like 5 weeks and just stay on like the whole way through. Like I was like, dude, like I'm all for doing what it takes, but that's irresponsible. We're not doing
So
that.
like a
Um,
40
but
plus
he's a
week
really good
blast.
kid, so I'm excited. He's gonna
Yeah.
come in because me and him have been talking for a while, and he had been on the fence about like his current situation, what we're doing over here, and like I'm never one to like be in people's ear, like leave your coach or whatever, but like when it's a bad situation, I can tell like this is not like it's some
Yeah.
local coach from his area, and it's like just decisions like that, like we're gonna stay on drugs for 40 weeks, like things like that. But I'm excited to work with him. He's a good kid. He coaches himself. He's definitely a knowledgeable kid too. So I'm pretty pumped about him as well. But what we're gonna do is I was just like, you're already on cycle. Like bloods look pretty solid. Like let's just do a nasty like he's got vacation in a week and then he comes back. I'm like, let's just do stay
Oh,
on. We're just gonna do a
yeah.
nasty cut, like 5 6 weeks, get really lean. We'll still have like 5 6 weeks on the back end of that we can kind of catch a little bit of a rebound, and then we'll
Hmm.
go into a health phase, and then we'll
Hmm.
actually look at when we're gonna actually start a prep.
Yeah.
But just shorten
Nice.
that timeline because, dude, you can't just stay on for 40 weeks through the end of a prep. Like, yeah,
No,
that's where shit hits the
it'd be
fan.
cool. Be cool if you could, but
Yeah.
it probably won't work. How many athletes are you at now, dude? I feel like you've been ramping up quick.
Yeah, I'm in the 30s now. I mean, like being on my own, man.
Fuck
I'm
yeah.
able to like obviously take home a lot more of that money, so it's put me in a position where I can be full time doing it. But
Yeah.
honestly, that's a big part of the reason why I've been approached by a couple different people about joining different things, and it hasn't been the right situation for me at this
Yeah,
point.
we know where you want to go.
Well, and even that too, at the end of the day, it's
Yeah.
like, um, I do value my autonomy. I value my
Hmm.
ability to coach the way I see fit. So I like me and Kyle were talking about this at the gym actually today. I was like, I can kind of take bits and pieces from everywhere. Like I get a
Yeah.
lot of like my, health maintenance and like the things we do to maintain good blood work and good health markers and stuff. I get a lot of that stuff from the J3U guys. But then I also like, if you look at like my athletes like cycle designs, like different things like that. Like I'm not like just the J3U model, like everybody's on, test or mast and stuff like that. Like I like to be able to have that flexibility to kind of coach how I see fit. And
Yeah.
honestly, we'll just see like if a, a coaching collective like that ever did come and knock on my door, we'd see what I want to do from there. But ultimately it's like I'm not struggling right now on my own, so I don't know why I would
No.
go somewhere where I have to take a step back almost and kind of like eat a little bit of like my own income. Like the
Yeah.
situation with you and Lacey is different because it's like she like I mean it's just you and her, right? Like you're
Yeah.
you're it. So she's investing in you. It's different if you're joining a team that already has 6, 7 coaches. Lauren was
I
saying
agree.
this to me when we were on a walk the other day. I'm like, that's so true. She's like, if you join the team, you're automatically, no matter how good of a coach you are, you're the weakest link. If people aren't getting
Correct.
enough clients and stuff like that, you're the first one to go. If you're the
Bottom
last
of the
one in,
totem
you're the
pole.
first one to
Yeah.
go. And so that's something I've definitely considered within that too. But honestly, dude, like, I'm happy to just be doing it full time, to be honest. Like, I'm just
Yeah, dude,
grateful
I
for it.
can't
And I'm
wait.
just treating every day like a fucking opportunity because it is.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, dude, I'll be honest. I've put a lot of I was having some conversations with the guys the other day about it and even talking with like Lacey a few times. Like obviously like a percentage of me, my shit's gonna go to her, but within 2 weeks
not a
I already
large one.
texted no, and
she's
I
not, she's
texted her
not
the other
greedy. Like, she wants you to
no,
grow and
no.
be, and like.
Yeah, bro, and like I messaged her the other day. I was like, we're 2 weeks into this process, and I was like, this has been the best decision I've made in a very, very long time with my career, and I can already tell just like she's just been so helpful and she's so fucking knowledgeable and she has so much experience that I don't have and like I'm being able to make up for all those things that she has by just kind of like educating and guiding me and mentorship with me. Um but yeah, man, no, it's been a great fit. But even that, I told the guys, dude, even though like that's happening and it's gonna be a huge cut from like having like a side salary of like 65,000 plus with benefits. I'm at the point, even just with this 3 week stretch of how little time I have for anything, I'm at a point where like this summer when it's I mean I'll probably be gone midsummer. That's kind of my hope. If I can, even if
Yeah.
I sign like five more people, or she hands me off a
Oh,
couple more,
yeah.
dude, I'm done. I've just
You got to
realized
take
I'm
that
just,
dream too. You got to
yeah,
take it
I'm,
while
and
the opportunity is there and just
I
go.
just think about, dude, having 45 hours back a week for myself, not only for like education, time to communicate with my athletes, like what I can, and like I'm not afraid to get in front of a camera. Like I know a lot of coaches that struggle financially because they just don't make content.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with making content now, and even like what we're doing is growing. So with that, so it's like I just think like, man, I'm giving this like 15 to 20 hours a week, and I'm at where I'm at. What if I could give this like 55 hours a week?
Yeah, and that's exactly it. That's where I was at with my full-time job too is, I told them like, when I was leaving, I mean, it was two parts like cuz it wasn't just like my decision. I knew I was getting close, but where I was working also the company that I work for wasn't able to get them to re-sign the contract. So I would have been, waiting to see if I could get another position within the company, all that stuff.
Oh,
I just told them, I'm like,
fuck
guys,
that.
like I'm at a point where I'm comfortable going full time, doing what I'm doing, coaching and stuff.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna just move on. I'm not gonna kind of just wait around for you guys to find me work or whatever because I don't need it.
Yeah.
But dude, those last few weeks before I was done, because Kyle competed like the month like before I was done,
Oh,
and
for
then I was
real?
getting and then I was getting all these new
Oh,
people,
damn.
and I
That's
was like,
recent.
I'll just be honest, guys. My job is like, it was like the biggest joke. Like, it was the biggest joke. It was just like, show up, like, change some towels, make sure the membership's good. I worked in corporate fitness. It was like, it was
That's
a
what
joke.
I'm doing, dude.
But literally, it was such a joke that they barely ever checked on me. And I'll be honest with you, I was going in like 2 to 3 hours a day to the office the last bit, because I literally I did not have time.
Yeah.
I would wake up and I had to I had Kyle in prep, and I had a bunch of people starting prep who are going to be competing here soon now, and so I was responding to WhatsApp messages, and then like would go in someone's sheet and add some. All of a sudden, I looked at the clock, and I'm like, oh fuck, it's like 9:30. I'm supposed to be at the office right now.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Wasn't exactly the model employed the last couple months, but when they tell you that your job is no longer going to be there, you kind of just like, well, what are you going to do? Fire me? Like,
Yeah. No, it sounds terrible. I literally went and got a haircut in the middle of my day today. I messaged one of my clients for my 1 o'clock session, and I was like, hey, I've got an appointment at 1. He goes, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I drove to the barber shop, got cleaned up, and I was like, all right, I'm coming back. And my coworker looked at me. He's like, where'd you go? I was just like, the dentist. And he was just like, oh, yeah, the dentist. He's like, well, the dentist gave you a clean fade. I was like, yeah. I was like, thanks. But I've even told my dad that. I was like, I'm not trying to burn any bridges, but I'm also at the point now where, like, if they were ever like, hey, you're gone, I'd be like, okay, thanks for thanks for giving me the boost I should have had.
You're at a point where you're starting, like, you and I are both kind of in the same position where our name is really starting to get out there within the space.
Hopefully,
and you just want to ride that tide, like take the risk. And that's what a couple months ago, that's what, Lauren was just like, this is your chance, like, just take the risk. And obviously it's paid off massively at this point. And, now I'm getting to do cool stuff like this. And you're like, hey, like, what time can you record this week? I'm like, dude, but you tell me, I'll move my check-ins around and like make sure that I still get my shit done, and we'll record. And so I can't wait for that for you, man. Eric, I guess we'll just hit this since you put in the chat. Would you rather coach lifestyle clients or athletes more? Same rate for both. I don't coach many lifestyle people anymore. Athletes, I think I have I think I have Actually, 2 lifestyle people left on my roster. One is somebody who's literally been with me for like 4 years, who had like hypothyroidism and like stomach issues, a guy too, which is pretty rare. And so we've taken him through a whole gambit of things and gotten him back to a really good place and stuff. So he's just someone that, until he says he doesn't want to work with me anymore, he is always going to be on my roster because he's a day one. And then the other one is one of my wife's coworkers. And dude, the reason why she stays on my roster is she's an animal. She just like, she's lifestyle, but she just executes. Like, she came to me at like 158 pounds, lost all the way down to 127 within 6 months, maintained that, and then now we're like in a muscle growth phase, and she has a wedding coming up, and then we're going to do like a recomp into the wedding so she looks great on her wedding day and stuff. And I'll keep her because she executes better than some of my bodybuilders. So I'm just like, I can't like justify being like, hey, sorry, I just work with bodybuilders now. But realistically, I've had a few lifestyle people like hit me up recently. I'm like, hey, like this just isn't really what I do. So
yeah, you just don't want to do it. I think out of like the 34 people I have, I think I just counted 11 are lifestyle. So I still got like a decent chunk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
I don't mind it. As long as they, like, at the end of the day, like this, like we've talked about, the standards are the same. Obviously, the programming and like the strictness of like maybe what's going on in the meal plan variety is different, but like my expectations are still the same. Like, check in on time, send your photos, follow the plan. It's really not all that complicated.
No, it's not. And then like, the nice part about having some lifestyle people too is you don't have like the same, it's not the same timeline. Like, with competitors, sometimes you're trying to make improvements in a really finite timeline. So there's a certain pressure that comes along with it that like every day counts, every week counts. And I know that pressure sometimes is more so on the athlete as it should be in a way, because it really is your bodybuilding. But still, as a coach, career. Like it doesn't matter. I still feel that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
you're still putting it on yourself.
Yeah, well, like when I have a client who, even though if I know they're following the plan, but they don't check in a few weeks in a row, I'm like, dude, like I'm showing up every week because I give a fuck about you. because I care about you. So I want you to care about me caring about you at the very least and check in. Um, and yeah, so there's just like a different pressure to it. Whereas like with a lifestyle person, they're like, make a ton of progress. But then like one week they're like, hey, like, I got vacation coming up here. And I'm just like, hey, yeah, go fuck off, have fun, like come back and we'll get back to it. With a competitor, it's different sometimes depending on what that timeline's looking like when they're trying to compete, what phase we're in, it's just different. There's a different level of pressure.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. So, dude, Reta, you were asking me like what my thoughts were on like running Reta through the end of prep or pulling it out or what I like to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just because like don't get me wrong, I've talked to a few different people, like my friend Courtney, the buff chemist, like she's a genius with this shit, and she just
Yeah.
said it kind of really just depends on the client and kind of like where they're
Yeah.
at.
That's my answer.
So I just, I mean, like, because I've got Bomer on it right now, and we're about 2 weeks out from his show. And I'm kind of at the point where, like, if you need it to, like, because, like, dude, his food is so low because his body weight is so low. So I'm kind of like, I have no problem keeping it in through it. And I did watch Mike White and Paul talk about how they like the utilization of it in a reverse phase to
Yes.
keep like cravings down and shit like that so that they're not just going fucking haywire after in a reverse.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm kind of thinking that we're going to use it through to the show and kind of use it within a 4 to 6 week span of his reverse. And then once his calories are back to close to baseline in that time frame, then I'm thinking we can kind of toss it back out.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like it for athletes who definitely have to go really low in food, that kind of stuff. Expenditure is really high. Honestly,
Yeah.
it takes a lot of the burden off that type of athlete. For athletes who I'm feeding a lot of food, I don't always go to the Reta. Like Kyle didn't use Reta in his prep, he didn't use it in his reverse, but he's a little bit of a different animal. Like he's a furnace, you know what I mean? And he was still getting like refed like 600-700 grams of carbs multiple times a week until like literally a 2 week stretch between like 7 weeks out and 5 weeks out. And then I started refeeding him again because we were in shape and we needed to start reversing into the show. So it just depends on the situation. Like right now, Tyler, my client, is on Reta. He's on 2 milligrams right now. And I was thinking about pulling it before the show, but honestly, the way he's been handling food with it, because he's almost ending up in a Kyle situation. Like I put his stuff on my story today. I literally, the last 2 weeks, I gave him 3 high days, 2 refeeds with 2 cheat meals. And his weight is just like 201, 202, 201, 202. And he just looks harder, better, fuller. And so he's handling food just fine. And he's not having any GI disturbance right now. So that's the biggest thing that I'm considering if we're going to taper or pull Reta into peak week is, are they handling food on Reta?
Yeah.
The one thing though too is like with the Tyler situation, the reason why I'm still considering maybe we pull it like a couple weeks out is just because that glucagon impact for some people, it can really speed them up. So that could be part of the reason why the food isn't sticking as much with Tyler. With
We
how
talked
much I'm
about that
refeeding
last
him.
week. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of my consideration points. But if I'm able to get someone full on it and they're not having GI disturbances, honestly, I'm just not going to pull it because it's another variable, right? Now I'm creating another variable pulling it. So that's the biggest thing is I'm always thinking about when I'm putting this in prep, is it somebody that can benefit from it? Okay, they can benefit from it. The reason why I used it with Tyler is we had used it in a cut phase. It worked really well for him. 2, he's a dad. He's got a lot of responsibilities, different things.
Yeah.
And I was just like, hey man, like if this can take the edge off your hunger and you can show up for your son and for your wife in your prep,
Why
and
not?
he's, pretty shredded already at, 8 weeks out, and he's, you're never going to feel 100% in prep, but he feels pretty damn good, like for the most part. And that was my calculus for using it with him specifically. But then like the concept of after I decide to use it, am I going to take it out, really comes down to how are they handling food? How is the GI? And so with Tyler, I know I can put a lot of food in him and we're not getting GI disturbance. The next thing I need to trial is, can I actually get you full on this? Like, can I get you bursting full on this? Or are you just like, I'm literally just chasing you and your weight's not doing anything and the visuals aren't doing anything? I'm leaning towards we might just keep it in because I have some visuals of him that I put on my story the other day of that 2:0, like it was 199 before we started refeeding and like 2:03. And he looked like full as a house and like more conditioned. So I'm thinking that I might not need to pull it after all, after like all this refeeding we've done. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah, because don't get me wrong, like I'm learning more and more about peptides, and I always go to Courtney for information. And for those listening, if you want to learn more about peptides, go follow my friend Courtney. Her name is the Buff Chemist on Instagram as well. She's a fucking genius. But she kind of just said it really just depends, like obviously case to case on the scenario. And she was like, because that was my kind of my thought process. Is I was like, well, he's only $140 right now, right? And his food is like fucking like female clientele low right now.
Yeah.
And obviously we're 2 weeks out, so I'm gonna pull cardio and a lot of other stressors as we kind of make our way into Monday. But I told him, I'm like, hey dog, I kind of just need you to dig, because in men's physique, being 140 pounds, your conditioning is gonna be our number one lever. So we've got to make sure that you're fucking coming in absolutely dick skin shredded. So. I think we're gonna leave it in, but yeah, no, that was just a question that I had because again, like I've never. Well, I mean, Reta really just kind of hit the scene in bodybuilding, in the past like 12 to 16 months, and now you're seeing people leverage it all the time in prep. So it was just one of those things where like I kind of wanted to get your feedback, and I reached out to her
And I
as well.
think we saw a lot of people miss their peak because of it this last year, but I think that's because of not making the correct decision for their body, not necessarily the utilization of retatrutide. More so like they didn't realize the fact when they're refeeding and they're like the food's not sticking to them and they're not getting full. They didn't realize, like they didn't kind of put two and two together and be like, hey, that's gonna be a problem when I try and get full for the show. Or maybe they're getting like pretty significant GI disturbances making them hold a lot of water, and they didn't really put two and two together that, hey, that's going to be a problem when we try and like peak. Right. So it really does just come down to the person and how they respond to it. Some people, they do really well with it. Some people, they do not. I know for me, when I ran Reta, dude, I was so flat. Like I could not get a pump. It took me, after I pulled Reta, it took me like 4 or 5 weeks before I was getting like consistently good pumps in the gym again. So for me, like I'm not somebody who struggles with diet adherence anyway. So I probably, like when I prep in the future, I probably won't use Reta, honestly, personally. It's just not worth the squeeze for me because I'm already kind of like a thinner white guy. I need all the fullness and roundness I can get, So.
Yeah, I like being, it sounds crazy, but like I tell people, like just from the abuse of Vyvanse in college and like stimulants, I'm so used to having like, I was like accustomed to 1,600 calorie days like through a majority of college while training and doing cardio and not really knowing what I was doing. So like the day I do prep, I actually don't mind cutting. Like even in the cut phase that like Alex dropped my food again last week, I was like, yeah, I got no problem with it. Because I'm kind of like, I don't mind being hungry. Personally, I'd rather be hungry than I'd rather be belly full deep at night in a bulk phase, 5, 6, 700 grams of carbs laying in my belly while I try to pass out at night.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the funny thing with me is I'm actually the opposite. I'm a big eater.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I guess, being my age and being around this for so long, I've kind of gone through all the phases of this to the point where I'm just genuinely, and I was talking with Lauren about this too, because she was talking about like with her diet phase, she's like, like I struggle with this because I want to be, like I see how serious you are and I want to be as serious with you as you are. But at the same time, like I'm a regular person. Like I don't think I'm ever going to get on stage again. So like, what's the point? I'm like, well, the point is if you're a happier person when you're adherent to your diet, then that's reason enough to be adherent to your diet. And that's how it is for me too. Like, do I love food? I love food. Like I could eat endless amounts of food, even like my on-plan food. I could eat way more. Then like I would be up to 5,000-6,000 calories in the off season the last 2 years sometimes, and I could eat more. Like I would still eat more, choose to eat more. But I don't, because I'm just like, when I'm not on my shit, I don't feel right. I don't feel myself. And so that's why I don't fuck around is because I'm like, I just genuinely like doing this. I like being adherent. I like,
Yeah.
eating my meals and not reaching for the cravings. So, yeah, but definitely, for people who already are not like big eaters, I just don't, again, it's like, what tools are you going to use? And I just don't think like we need to necessarily do the kitchen sink method where we're using every single trendy tool in prep
Yeah.
possible,
Yeah.
but definitely the right client, right situation. I think GLP-1s do have a place personally. This is kind of like, again, goes back to that thing of like, I have my own way of doing things. Like, a lot of people know that a lot of my education has come through J3U, and that like, I'm friends with like Chris and stuff and, all that jazz. But John and Luke are like pretty minimal on like what their use case is for it. I'm a lot more open to it, to be honest, because I've seen it
Yeah.
work for people. So,
Oh, I mean, I've got like a decent chunk of my lifestyle clients on it, and they fucking love it.
yeah. So, any reason you'd want to use a standard GLP-1 like TERS as opposed to Reta? Yeah. So, there's actually some really good reasons to utilize TERS instead of Reta. For some people, I talked about kind of that upregulation. Some people are really sensitive to that glucagon impact with Reta, so they speed up a lot in terms of their metabolism. And I've even seen some people, and Joe, my man Joe Percher, Jay Perch was talking about this too. He's seen this with one of his clients, and I saw this with myself, because I was talking about how I would speed up and I couldn't like keep a pump, stuff like that. I was hungrier on Reta. Like, I was hungrier. It made my body a furnace because of that glucagon thing. I could not get a pump. I could not keep a pump. And I kept it in for about like 4 or 5 weeks after my diet phase. And I finally pulled it because I'm just like, dude, I swear to God, I'm hungrier on this. And 2-3 weeks later, I was like, I'm less hungry than I was on Reta. So yes, there's definitely a reason to use TERS. Some people do get a very, very heightened response from that glucagon. And yeah, again, they're just flat all the time. They can't have food. Food doesn't stick. And sometimes even they get hungrier. And I swear I was hungrier on Reta. And I've ran TERS and Reta. And TERS, I had no appetite. I was literally like, I on TERS, I started prep on TERS, or my prep that didn't end up being a prep. I started it on TERS because I got Reta that was definitely not Reta. It was definitely TERS. So I started on TERS, and literally I sat at a barbecue place, one of my favorite restaurants, with Lauren and her whole family, and literally just talked with them. And I realized like halfway through the dinner, I hadn't even looked down at the food they were eating because I was like, I wasn't eating the food.
That's crazy as someone that's like as hungry as you are would like have that effect from it that fast. Because I personally have no experience with Reta or GLPs like in my own personal use.
Yeah.
I've just
Well,
like
you're
I said,
a
I'm not an
appetite
eater.
guy, so what's the
Yeah,
point?
yeah, like because I mean even Alex at one point was like, "Do you want to try Reta on this cut?" And I was like, "Do you want me to try Reta on this cut?" And he was like, "Do you need Reta?" And I was like, "Dog," I was like, "I'm chilling on like."
Yeah.
The only thing that bothers me about being low calorie, like I really don't mind being hungry. It's just the fact that like less carbohydrates in my diet typically means to a lesser degree of training performance. And then I get in my head, but I also remind myself like that it just kind of comes with the lowered food. Like obviously I'm still pushing as much as I can, but there is like a noticeable like downgrade performance, when carbs are at 175 compared to like 450, 400. So that's the only thing that like irritates me in like a lower food phase. But other than that, I handle hunger just fine. I don't even blink at it.
Yeah, I notice it more so with like my back off sets actually. Like usually when I'm dieting, when I'm on lower food, my top sets don't move too much until you get like lean and your leverages kind of change, then that can be kind of a thing there. But I notice it more initially, like in the first like early part of a diet with my back off sets. I just don't quite have that same drive, that same glycogen to really hammer that back off set. I'll usually like maybe here and there lose a rep sort of when I start getting a little bit more dieted. However, the thing that I've been doing differently that's helped me a lot is honestly this whole diet I have kept intra in the whole time. Like I have one meal that's super low carb because I'm keeping that intra workout in, and that's helped me a ton in back end of sessions, back end back offsets have been better. And so I don't know, it's something to try, just being like, hey, I'm okay with having a pro veg meal or something like that. If I can keep some carbs in that intra workout window, it's definitely something to try.
Yeah, because I wouldn't mind doing that either, to be honest. I've been on a huge, I hate vegetables, and I've been on a huge cucumber carrot kick right now. So I might actually reach out to him and be like, hey, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Yeah. I just find it helps me a lot. Some people say they don't notice a fucking difference, but it helps me out a lot. Yeah. So I think that's everything people asked in the chat, but yeah, as far as GLP-1s goes, just definitely pay attention to your own response to them. Cause I think that's the biggest thing is people can tell you 2 ways from Sunday about all the different potential side effects, all the different potential benefits. But ultimately, if it doesn't fit your use case for whatever reason, then you just probably don't need it. I get that Red True Tide can make you a fat burning machine or whatever they want to say, but so can clenbuterol. So,
I was just gonna say, I was like, there are a couple other drugs you could leverage if that's the fucking goal.
Yeah. That's why they make clenbuterol if you don't need the whole appetite and GI slowdown thing.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Clen over here.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you have any questions you wanted to go through today?
Yeah, I got a couple. Sorry, someone's blowing my phone up right now, and I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. Let's see here. Yeah, Dawson asked me a good one that I wanted to do, because him and I have talked about it a few times. And so what did he put? He put a question that he'd really like us to touch on would be the thoughts on some coaches doing way too much in the sense of trying to reinvent the wheel at times, especially in the social media world, when it's not needed. And Nick actually made a video.
Kind of like content.
Yeah, and I mean, I told him, I was like, now this isn't all coaches, right? Like there are some if a coach is just posting a clip of them on a podcast, like Tom Schuster, good friend of mine, some of the topics that they're talking about, they dive into some really deep biochemistry shit.
I'm in Tom and Jay Perch's school membership site, and I did comment on one post the other day, but I just like to read the stuff that they put in there.
Yeah.
I like to see how other coaches that I really respect their game, how their mind works and stuff. But anyway, continue.
No, they just, like I said, they post clips of their podcast where they dive into some really in-depth topics, and that's that's a great thing, right, for people, and that's their targeted audience, right?
Coaching.
Yeah, no, but coaches that are making super definitive stances on things, especially in the bodybuilding space, when you and I talk about it all the time, this is a trial and error sport. You take the information that you have presented in front of you with the case scenario, and you do the best that you can with the feedback that you're getting from the clients and the information that you have presented in front of you. When you see coaches making certain really aggressive stances on certain things and specifics, I told Dawson, it's just a manipulation technique to make you sit there and wonder for a second, well, my coach doesn't do that. So is my coach less educated for not doing that said technique? And it's no, you fucktard. Them making that clip, specifically doing it in that manner, that's what they want you to do. They want you to second guess your coach so that you go talk to them and go, hey, just curious, why did you say blah, 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 blah? And clearly they're going to try to outwit you and make you feel fucking stupid.
Yep.
And no one wants to feel dumb. So then you're sitting there second guessing everything your coach has told you. And it's no, I personally just hate shit like that. And I told Dawson, I'm the best educators in the world can take really complex topics and simplify them. If someone has to almost not talk over you, but try to make you feel dumb in a sense all the time, I don't care how smart you are, you just suck. You're using a manipulation technique to get people to come work with you, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think there's a big difference between trying to produce educational content and things that you genuinely enjoy, and that's how I always try and approach content creation. Is I don't force it. I have some of these videos that I do in the gym. Literally, most of the time I go in the gym and don't even record a single thing I do. But sometimes I'm I got something to say. I'm gonna bust out the tripod and the mics here and say something. yes, of course, like sometimes a lot of content can be construed that way. Like I think, I'm definitely not above like expressing my opinion, but I guess I don't express it in a way that it's like anything else is incorrect. Like we could go back to even like our post the other this past weekend about the growth hormone timing is, I had some conversations with some other people that were like, hey, I like to do it this way for this reason. And when
Yeah.
I'm having those conversations with people, I'm not trying to be like, hey, like you actually don't know anything and this is why you're wrong. It's just more like I'm telling them what my experience is and like what I have found
Yes.
and what also the evidence says. Because I would say like, especially with something like growth hormone, I'm pretty up to snuff with like what like the evidence suggests within the usage of it. And I'm just saying this is what I've found. Now, if you have found something different, that's totally cool because guess what? Bodybuilding is what happens in the trench. So if
Yep.
you take 3 units before bed, 3 units in the morning, and 3 units pre-workout, and you're growing like a weed, staying lean, fucking killing shit,
Don't
bro,
change
more
shit.
power to you. But it's what annoys me is when people try to like justify something like that by trying to like
Correct.
give you the whataboutism of here's what you're missing. And that's where I
Yeah.
get a little bit irritated, and then
Yeah.
I can be liable to snap back a little bit because I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, like don't try and like Bill Nye me. Just tell me that you like that and it works for you. Cool, great, because that's what bodybuilding's all about, and I fuck with that. But if we're gonna try to like talk over the top of each other, I don't think you want to play that game with me, and so that's what I'll say about it is like I'm
Yeah.
never trying to create content to make other coaches seem like they don't know what they're doing because
Yeah.
bodybuilding is like it's a massive gray area. A lot of things work. If you look
Trial
at
and
all
error.
my athletes, like food, drug designs, training, it's all completely different between all of them.
Yeah.
Like
Trial and error.
you could
It's the
literally go
entire
like
sport.
I have clients that are running test mass primo, and I have clients that are running test EQ NPP. They are different people. They respond very differently to drugs. And you know what? If I give the test mass primo guy the freaking test EQ NPP, he's gonna have titties tomorrow. Like, but guess what? It works really well for the other guy, right? And so people try and get in these conversations of, well, NPP is not a compound we should really use because it's a 19-nor and, it affects like the brain and like amyloid plaque and like like prolactin and all these different things. And I'm like, hey, guess what? That's great and all, but all PEDs contribute to amyloid plaque buildup in the brain. That's great and all, but some people don't like aromatize hardly at all. So sometimes a little bit of NPP goes a long way with them because it actually helps them feel better on cycle. So again, at the end of the day, people can take these hard stances, but the reality is when it comes down to what happens in the trench, that's where you actually figure out how good of a coach someone is because you can read as many like research studies on retatrutide as you want, but if you give it to someone and it fucks up their GI, guess what? That person probably shouldn't use retatrutide no matter how awesome retatrutide is. So
Yeah. No, dude. No, seriously. I think you hit it right on the head. And I told Dawson that because him and I were having that conversation just earlier today, and I'm like, bro, like another factor that people don't talk about. I mean, shit, dude. In Kuza's GI course, out of like the 100 some pages of incredible information, the first like 30 pages are just how to manage stress mitigation as an
yeah.
athlete. Because stress is the number one driver of majority of GI issues, right? And I tell people all the time, like, if you overcomplicate something that doesn't need to be complicated, you're just gonna stress them the fuck out. Like if a client, like for example, right? Like if a like you could do this too, right? If someone's just like, oh, well, like what are the benefits of growth hormone? Could you sit there and give them an entire 20-minute lecture on how it works and what it'll all do? For sure. But you could also just be like, we're going to run 4 units before bed because it's going to help you sleep, hit REM easier, and you're probably going to burn more fat and recover better.
Yep.
And they'll be like, oh, okay, cool. But if you sit
That's
there
all it
and
needs
you
to be.
dive, yeah, but if you'd sit there and you dive into all the possible negative side effects, well, they're going to fucking think themselves into those side effects. And I'm a very firm believer of that.
Yeah.
Like a very firm believer of that. If you tell a guy, oh, well, EQ is going to cause a possible side effect is really elevated anxiety. Well, you've just already put that into a dude's head, and now the
Yeah.
moment he's even slightly anxious, his brain's going to be like, oh God, I'm fucking tweaking out today because the EQ is making my anxiety so bad. And it's like, no, bro, you just need to fucking take a breath.
Well, and
It's
people
probably
need
not
to
that.
remember too that like the information on some of the PED side effects too are, it's found in research studies, and some of it's somewhat subjective too to like the
Yeah,
individual. Like you don't have a
100%.
barometer that you can stick in someone's arm to see how anxious they are. That's
Exactly.
self-reported side
Yeah.
effects. And guess what? Maybe a lot of people don't think about this too. All androgens increase sympathetic tone. All
Yep.
androgens technically could increase someone's baseline anxiety. So
Yeah.
it's just like, again, it goes back to like the rat models with EQ, and like everybody's like, oh, kidney toxicity. It's like, okay, yeah, that was in rat surrogate models, but honestly, I've had a lot of people run EQ in the last 6 months, and literally Kyle ran EQ his whole prep, and his freaking EGFR came back at 120, and that was a cystatin C based EGFR
Yeah.
too. Like it was as accurate of a measurement of kidney function as you can take, because it's cystatin C based
Yeah.
versus creatinine based, and it was, his kidney function is amazing. So, and his blood pressure is great right now. Now, obviously, maybe like there's some medications in play and stuff, but he had high blood pressure on test and mass before, and now his blood pressure is
Yeah.
great on test and EQ. And so it's
Yep.
just, again, people really need to actually, get in the trench and stop trying to talk on social media like that they're going to keep you safe from all the idiots out there that don't know that EQ's the
Yeah.
devil. Or I've seen people post like 500 milligrams is all you need or something like that, and like the androgen receptors are fully saturated at 500 milligrams and dumb shit like that. And I'm like, guys, these people are just trying to sell you. They're just trying to sell you. None of this is true.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fucking retarded. That's so stupid, bro.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so dumb. Yeah, you run your 500 migs and I'll run 2 grams and we'll see who grows faster.
Yeah. All right. Oh, we've got a lot of chat questions tonight. Actually, are there
Oh, fuck yeah,
PEDs
let's see.
that would be helpful for a lifestyle client, or do you think lifestyle clients should not consider the use of PEDs? I just honestly, more and
I
more, I
think
just think it's a personal decision. Like honestly,
100%.
hard PED use, I would say probably not if you're
Fuck
not
no,
like
no,
competing. Like I'm talking
no.
like, actually running significant cycles, things like that. But dude, if one of my lifestyle clients wants to try like a GLP-1, or maybe in a cut phase even, they want to try like, that they're okay, granted they have to be an adherent client. I'm not just going to do it
Yep.
with somebody who can't get their fucking
Yeah.
shit together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
But if it's a really adherent client, I've had them for a while. They're like, hey, I understand the risks of these things, but I want to experiment with some things. Like GLP-1s, like clenbuterol, things like that. Like, I would say for female general population clients that are open to that sort of thing, I'm definitely not entertaining the use of androgens, obviously, especially if they're not looking to compete. But I've had female Gen Pop clients who wanted to start HRT, and I was like, yeah, like you're 38, like you've had your kids, like you want to feel good,
Yeah.
all that stuff. Let's go get to the doctor. Let's see where your levels are at. And if that same client who's doing HRT wants to run a GLP-1 and they've been super adherent without it, and they're like, I just want to be able to focus on when I'm spending time with my husband and my kids, or my wife and my kids if it's a guy, and I don't want to be thinking about the fact that I'm hungry all the time, but I have goals, and they've been adherent otherwise, I'm not going to be like, no, you can't use a GLP-1 because you're not a competitor or something like along
Yeah.
that line. I think it's really a personal decision.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think for me personally, I think every guy after like a certain age should like really entice the idea of taking testosterone replacement therapy.
Yeah.
Like I tell guys all the time, we're seeing more and more case studies come out that like if you are low testosterone or deficient as you age, you are at way more risk for cardiovascular disease. You're at way more risk for a
Yep.
lot of other health complications. And something I always remind people is like everyone is so fixated on a certain number in their life. And I'm like, I'm way more focused on the quality of my life.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm focused on. If I get 71, 75 fucking incredible years because I've been a high functioning, high testosterone individual my whole life, fuck yeah, I'd rather take that 70 than to make it to 90. Like I've seen what happens to a lot of people as they get older and older. And not to sound depressing, but I'm good to go at like my mid 70s if it means I don't lose like
Yeah.
my physical capability to be who I am every single day and perform and do the physical activities that I want to do every single day. And for females too, you mentioned the HRT. Like I'm such a big promoter of growth hormone utilization for women. I think there
Yeah.
are a lot of cosmetic benefits to utilizing even 1 to 2 units every single night. Like I
Yeah,
tell
not
like
even fat
any
loss.
girl
Your
that's
skin and your hair will be better, and your nails will
yeah,
grow
bro.
better and thicker. And,
Exactly. So it's like I think there is definitely use cases, and like Colton said, you mentioned, it depends on the person. Like, if a guy is a young male model and he can take some performance enhancing drugs to enhance his career and make more money, why the fuck wouldn't you do that? I know
yeah,
I know way more guys that take PEDs that will never compete than guys that are competing that are on PEDs. Like I tell people all the time, like 80 to 70% of the guys at your gym that don't look like they're on testosterone are probably on testosterone. You just don't know because they can't adhere to a nutritional plan. But
yeah,
I think there are a ton of benefits to being on very low dosage. Again, case dependent, but I think there are a lot of benefits, especially for men. Like I think a lot of guys, especially with like we talk about like depression being a huge issue, and that's a topic I'm super passionate about, especially in the male category. I think a lot of guys would like get out of a rut if they got in shape and got on a low dosage of testosterone replacement therapy. I think it would change everything in their life personally.
yeah. And I mean, I'll even take it one further too, dude. Like, I have one client right now who has competed before, but they're really doing more of a lifestyle thing right now, and we're running 300 tests, 200 primo right now. And he's doing a cut phase and he looks fucking great. And he's losing
Yeah.
weight really quick. His muscles coming back, all that stuff. Like, at that dosage, like, am I going to have him run that indefinitely? No, but he's used
No.
PEDs before to compete and stuff. That door was already open. You know what I mean? So I just like, again, like Eric said in the chat, if you say no to people, they're probably just going to find somebody who's going to let them do it anyway.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
two, the other aspect of it is again, it goes back to what I said. It's a personal decision. PED use
Yeah.
is a personal decision at the end of the day. Do I think again, would I like if somebody came to me and they're like, I'm a lifestyle person, but I want to run, 2 grams of gear, I would probably be like, yeah, let's
no.
let's not do that. But if
Yeah.
somebody's like, hey, I've already been taking TRT, I want to do a cut phase with you. Would you be open if I ran like maybe 150, 200 milligrams of this or that or the other thing on top
Yeah.
of my TRT? I mean, it's not
not?
really my job to tell them no. It's my job to say, hey, if we're going to do that, we're going to try and
Let's
keep you as safe
be
as
smart
possible
about it.
while we do
100%.
that, So,
No, 100%.
yeah, Trent is worth it. Just saying. Yeah, I think it depends on the context. And again, this goes back to another compound that everybody's like, Trend will make you like, beat your like family or something like that. It'll make you get a divorce or whatever. Not for everyone. I literally have an athlete on my roster right now who just came to me who we're in a health phase now, but before we were working together, the cycle he ran was literally like test and trend. And he responded super well to it. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'd like to tell you that like this was a bad idea, but his blood work is literally pristine. And I'm like, so again, I'm not saying that that's my first compound choice usage. It's not. But at the end of the day, like we can't just act like all these things are, just guaranteed like problems in a bottle. Going back to the conversation about talking ourselves into side effects,
Well, that and oh, sorry. Don't do
No,
it.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, whatever you are as a person, PEDs are just gonna enhance it.
Exactly.
That's all this is. Like, I nothing pisses me off more in the social media realm when you see guys being like, "Oh yeah, if you take trend, dude, yeah, you're gonna beat someone, you're gonna go fuck something," and I'm like, it sounds like you just can't control your
Yeah, your
habits,
anger.
and your actions. Yeah, it sounds like you should probably go to a fucking therapist and not run that
Yeah.
because, again, I know plenty of people who have ran those drugs and it has done nothing to them. They're just utilizing it for a certain like phase in either their bodybuilding career or their journey or whatever it is that they're doing, and they handle it just fine. And two, if you can't handle drugs and like these drugs do make you to act out in a certain way, it is your responsibility as a grown ass adult to understand one, you're not acting normal and
Yeah.
how you're acting is not acceptable, especially if PEDs impact one, your financial, or they impact any how you treat any of your loved ones around you. If you start changing up on people around you because you threw in 70 milligrams of Tren a week, you need to figure some fucking shit out because that's just
Yeah.
garbage, in my
Yep.
opinion.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, and I think that kind of that kind of like puts a button on it. Like we've kind of, I don't know, we kind of like went on a whole journey there. We were talking about one thing and then it like bled into another. But at the end of the day, guys, like, you know, PED use is a personal decision. There's nothing written in stone that it should make you a worse person, a better person. It's going to make you, you know, the person that you are. It's going to make you more of what you are, most likely. If you're a happy person, you're probably going to be more happy. If you're a dick, you're probably going to be a bigger dick. You know, so
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
can we touch the long question I sent? Oh, via DM. I can look, Corey. Yes. Sorry. One sec.
No, do your thing, brother. I'm trying to get my Hulu to refresh so I can see the Toronto Cleveland game.
Corey, long question. I gotta scroll a little bit because me and Corey be talking. Podcast question. Is there a point where you would argue that executing reps beyond technical breakdown, aiming for mechanical failure, would allow for additional hypertrophy, or how do you seek to measure that at the end of your set? I.e., for my lift spreadsheet, some of my repetition cells are 10 plus 2 to indicate 10 full repetitions and 2 incomplete or partial repetitions, not half the range of motion, but forced completion through technical compensation. So, you know, like a spotter kind of helped you through those last couple of reps.
I think there's,
Go ahead.
there's benefit for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a spotter and you can continuously keep tension on the muscle belly, well, why wouldn't you utilize it? I mean, I think that's like the number one benefit of a training partner is obviously the push and the motivation,
Yeah.
but the aspect of, well, now you can go past a normal threshold that you therefore wouldn't be able to. Like, if I'm on a leg press and I'm sitting there shaking and Colton's like, fuck that, dude, I'll help you get 5 more assisted. You
Yeah.
just control the negative as best as you can and drive, and I'll help push. Well, there's no way I'm not going to not get a better response out of that because I'm taking my muscle to a higher form of stimulation that it therefore wouldn't get if I didn't have Colton there to help me out with it. And another thing too, with like when you think about a movement like bicep curls, well, it's like, okay, obviously like once you get a little swing in it, but then again, if I have to get a little bit of swing to get like a dumbbell hammer curl up into the contraction point, but I can still fight the negative and still give myself more on that, well, I think it would be stupid not to do that.
Yeah, I think for the most part, I would say when it comes to you know, progressive overload in a sense, I would definitely have like a metric for maybe tracking it, especially if you typically train with a training partner, like exactly like you said, Corey, 10 plus 2. You know, 10 of those were actually yours. 2
Actually
of them were
you.
past. You know,
Yes.
I think as long as you're doing that, you're in a good spot. I think, again, this is a concept, you know, Tom and Jay Perch have been talking about a lot, and it's something that I have found to be true too, because I've been through the ringer of, we talked about on like, I think the first episode, that I kind of came up in the RP circle when I first started getting
Yeah.
into like, and all that. And honestly, dude, I've really come full circle to it. I don't think fatigue is like a thing in the sense that we think of it. And this is coming from somebody who spent the last 8 months on TRT. So I had normal testosterone levels. I had like, basically I was taking like 3 units of growth hormone, which is basically replacement dosage, maybe a little bit more. And dude, I was still training just as hard. Kyle was still forcing reps out of me in the gym, all that stuff. I was still recovering and I was still making progress. And I had no extra PEDs in my system. other than my TRT. So I just think fatigue is just really overblown. So I think I will say, though, I do think progressive overload is important within the sense that if you are keeping your technique the same and you are progressively getting more reps, getting more load on exercise, like that's where the progress, that's where the muscle growth does happen. And I have a rant on that in a second because someone may have posted that me and Kyle were talking about the gym today. That kind of triggered me a little bit on their story.
Yeah.
But I think that forced reps are totally fine. The only time I tell people to kind of like start to get a little bit more conservative with that is one, if it does become unproductive, you find that like you have like maybe a big leg day and you're forcing reps on everything. And by the time you go to the gym, you're like the last two exercises, you just feel like you're just bludgeoning tissue and you're not actually really training anymore.
Getting anything
Then
out of
maybe
it. Yeah.
reel it back into maybe just like your top sets, you're doing some forces, and then your back offs, maybe you're taking those on your own volition, and then deep in contest prep. Maybe like 2-3 weeks out, I'm like, hey, like we don't need these force reps anymore. Like just straight sets. Usually at that point, I've removed any intensity techniques anyway, things like that. It's pretty much just straight sets. And then like, obviously maybe a week or two out, sometimes I'm even saying, hey, like, you know, we've got enough drugs in our system. We have done the work here. We're starting to reverse out of like the deficit into the stuff. Leave a couple reps in the tank because those last couple reps are not worth us dropping out of the show because we have a torn quad or something like that. You know, that's the only time. But other than that, in the off season, you're well fed, you're cranking. Shit. I mean, I find it hard to believe that there's actually this magical fatigue boogeyman because I don't see it with any of my clients, like ever.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes people do need a deload, but like I honestly let people tell me, like when they're like, I need a few days out of the gym. And I'm like, yeah, you've been cranking for like 10 weeks. You've been progressing. You know, I'm not surprised you're a little bit beat up. Take a few days off, you know, but yeah, the whole idea that fatigue is just this thing that we have to be constantly cognizant of if we want to grow optimally. I just don't think it's really founded. I don't think it's really founded in the evidence, to be quite honest with you, and I don't think it's founded within the populations that I've worked with, at least. But just to kind of finish off that, what I want to say, someone put on their story today, and it's somebody who is a very good bodybuilder, and I have a lot of respect for them, but they put on their story that progressive overload is overrated and that you should be focusing on progressing the stimulus, i.e. like making sure you're feeling exercise, which is important, but I think you can have both. Like you can make sure you're doing your exercise right and feeling them, and you can also progressively overload. And I just thought it was ironic because the same person dropped out of prep because they didn't make enough improvements this year.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. And so, yes, guys, feel your exercises, learn how to connect with your muscles, do them properly, but you still need to get stronger. You still need to progress load. You still need to progress reps. That's how muscle grows. It grows from tension and progressing tension.
I was going to say, too, not to add too much onto that, but something that because I work with a lot of general health with my full-time job, and I try to, like, teach in a way where, like, form and stimulus are, like, the first things we're focusing on. Like, I want you to understand what proper range of motion and certain movements look like, and I want you to understand what the intended targeted muscle should feel like when it is being utilized in these certain movements. Like, for example, if I've got a guy doing a single arm cable lat pull down, right? Like, I'm teaching him how to keep that medial of the portion of the elbow tucked against the rib cage as he's driving his elbow down into his pocket or his hip or however you want to cue it. And from there, once he goes, oh, that's what that's supposed to feel like, and I can see that he's moving the weight properly, then we start the progressive overload. So, like, I think people kind of get it misconstrued where they think you have to have one or the other, and it's like, no, you're supposed to have both at all times.
And that's all I'm saying, like, too, is just like, we just don't want to miss the context of, all the like technique, connection to the muscle. Those things are important. I think, especially in bodybuilding, like we're building bodies. You need to actually be able to access the musculature you're trying to build, for sure. But once that's there, you have to add weight to exercise. I don't go in the gym and go, I don't record my workout, so I don't know how much load I did last week. I can't really remember, but I got a really good pump today, so it definitely was progressive. I just like For
It's
me,
like,
I
no.
guess, and I'll just say for me, people can do what they want to do, but for me, I'm the type of person that I want to make sure that every single stone is unturned. I don't
Correct.
want to leave
Correct.
anything on the table. And so if that comes down to log booking my workouts, knowing what I'm trying to beat in terms of reps and load, and also making sure that my form is actually on the intended target muscle and I'm feeling it, I'm going to do both of those things.
Yeah,
So
as you
that's
should.
just that's
As you
just
should.
my 2 cents. And I guess again, I just think it's ironic that some of these same people who like say things like that are also the people who didn't make the improvements they wanted to make. So maybe you should focus more on your training and the architecture of your training and progressive overload. You
Yeah, I
know?
was gonna say, like, once you understand what the connection to a muscle should feel like, that ultimately should be the goal, is to be able to keep that exact same feeling while adding weight or
Yep.
reps every single week. That's the intended outcome. Because I that's probably the most annoying, not annoying, but I get that one more than any from like athletes of like, what should I be more focused on, pump or weight? And I'm like, both,
Yeah.
motherfucker. You can have
Why not both?
you're supposed to have best of both worlds when training.
Yeah.
You need to get a pump and you need to get strong. Like
Yeah.
you can't just stop at 5 plates on the leg press and just continuously increase the negative to 12 seconds. Like that's not how this is gonna work.
Yeah, and I love it too when people use like someone like Samson as an example, because like people watch like
Bro.
Samson set or something, and like
Bro.
they're like, oh, he definitely could have done 2 or 3 more, and it's like, dude, you don't know what that feels like from an internal stimulus perspective for him. He might literally feel like if he tries another, you might be surprised too, because he's a big ass motherfucker. There's probably a lot of
Huge.
fast twitch muscle in that body. Like
Huge.
you might think he can't do another rep, but if he tried, he might get buried, and you just
And
would never be
and
able to tell because his last rep looks so close to his first rep because of how he's genetically fucking elite, and B,
yeah.
also because of how many repetitions he's done, to get to this point. I know for me too, I'm that same way, like, especially with legs. When I fail, most of the time, like when me and Kyle first started training together, he'd almost end up catching me on a lot of exercises because he wasn't ready for me to fail because he didn't know I was going to fail because I peter out like really fast. Like it's there, it's there, it's there.
Same.
I'm a
Same.
little slow and then it's gone.
Same.
And it's not that I'm
I'm
not trying. I try to go for the rep. It just doesn't come up, you know.
No, dude. It's funny you say that. I'm the same way. My client Caleb, who just finished his like final semester of the year for school, he was spotting me on a movement the other day, and I have to like cue him, or I'll have to
Yeah.
say, "Hey, help!" Because I tell him like, "You'll see me fire like rep 11 at a decent pace, and then I'll get to a deep stretch, and like as I'm going, I'm just always trying to keep the tension on because my chest sucks, so I'm trying to really be smart about my training.
Yeah.
And then I'll push, and then on the 12th rep, it just won't move, and he'll like jump and grab the handles, and he's like, "Oh shit!" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, sorry, bro. When it's gone, it's gone."
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, like Corey said, fundamentally all progress made in the gym is essentially or literally essentially literal or metaphorical progressive overload. Yep,
Yeah,
exactly. Like,
100%.
even to give maybe some credence to the point of the person I was kind of ranting about. Yeah, like progressing your stimulus is progressive overload. Like if you're getting
Yeah,
better at contracting your back,
that
a
is an
lighter
overload.
weight
Yeah.
might be heavier than at that point if you're actually staying on the muscle more because you're using, say, if you're doing that single arm pull down, you're using less drive from your rear delt, less drive from your teres, and you're actually staying on that lat more. So now what used to be 50 pounds is actually 30 pounds from an internal stimulus perspective. Definitely true. But I think you still should fucking logbook and still make sure that you're progressing.
I was just gonna say, to add to that point again, it's the same thing. You still gotta track the numbers. You still gotta make note of what you're doing. If you know on an incline cable chest press machine that you've been struggling to grow your chest, and say you've been at 250, right?
Yeah.
And Colton yells at you for having shitty form because you're flaring your elbows and your sternum isn't up. And you go 175 for the day, and you go, "Hey, Coach Colton, like, bro, my chest is fucking ballooned right now."
Yeah.
Well, then it's like, okay, motherfucker, then write down 175 for however many reps you
And
got.
start the fuck over.
And yeah, it's the same fucking thing. If you got, it's just lowering the weight to take your ego out of it, so you understand how to actually move the intended muscle target. That's really all it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and again, maybe it's just maybe I'm being hard on people, and maybe it's just people not actually understanding the point that they're trying to make, less so than being wrong. Because I wouldn't say that's
Hmm.
wrong. Like you should be trying to progress your stimulus and your
Hmm.
connection and stuff, but I don't think like they fully grasp the fact that that's a form of progressive overload too.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
all right, man. Anything else we want to touch on?
Let me check. Probably got one more in this. I gotta go through my photos one of these days and clear it, dude. The amount of photos I have of people in my phone is just ridiculous at this point. Let's see what we got from last time. If you've talked about this being the benefits of fruit being on plant versus carb versus rice. So I got one from our friend Jordy here in Wisconsin. So she put, I
Mm,
don't know if you've talked about this, but what are some of the benefits of fruit being on a plan as a
mm,
carb versus like rice, potatoes, and stuff like that?
yeah.
I think the big thing that people need to understand is like there's macros and there's micronutrients, right? And both have to have a beautiful blend in your nutritional plan. You hear like Mike and Paul and some of these guys shit on coaches of the chicken and rice, and it's like, yeah, dude, like vegetables and fruits need to play an adequate role in anyone's nutritional plan. Like you have to have an adequate amount of fiber in order for food to be digesting
Yeah.
properly. And again, like if you're just pushing food all off season, but you're not utilizing those things, you might just be shitting everything out and you might not actually, like Colton's talked about, like actually having things stick to your system.
Yeah.
And digestive health plays such a massive role in this sport. And it's something that people really do need to start taking more seriously. And it's something that I even got humbled on this year. I am like the advocate of, or not the advocate, I am the poster child for eating chicken nuggets and french fries growing up. Vegetables have been disgusting to me my whole life. And I ran into my first ever GI problem this year. I was
Yeah.
literally having liquid shits for 4 weeks straight, and I was fluctuating 8 to 10 pounds every day. And Alex was like, "Dog, are you eating your veggies?" And I was like, "I'm gonna be transparent, brother. Like it's not been as consistent as it
Yeah.
needs to be." And since that process, now I have sauerkraut, I have a vegetable, and I have fruit in damn near 4 out of my 5 meals every single day. And I've never felt this good. My training's been better, my
Yep.
skin cleared up, everything started to improve. So, long story short, as to why you add like things like fruits and veggies in as a swap for the rice and the potatoes and the basic carbohydrates is like, guys, you need fiber. You have to have it.
Yeah, fiber and I mean there's just so many benefits from having a diverse
Yeah.
diet, especially on the fruits and vegetable side. Like we talk even just about like, one of the biggest problems for bodybuilders is cardiovascular health. And what's one of the biggest
Yeah.
contributors to cardiovascular issues? Systemic inflammation. What are fruits
Hmm.
and vegetables? Literal antioxidants that are
Yep.
helping you have less inflammation in your system. They're going to literally contribute to you having better cardiovascular health. It's just very low hanging fruit, no pun intended, thing that should be a part of every plan, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Even talk about like Kyle's like he just got here for the end of the podcast, but he's a poster boy for this. Like coming into working with me, like, he wasn't really doing those things. And, it impacted, I'm not going to like spill his beans or whatever, but it impacted
Yeah.
multiple things. And literally like 3 weeks into working together in prep, he was like, after eating, like, he had sauerkraut in his plan, he had fruits, he had vegetables, he had like all these things. He's like, dude, I feel so much fucking better. I did not even realize how bad I felt like not eating
Yeah.
these things. And it's just like it's a very, very simple thing that should be a part of the plan. I mean, realistically, if we can all train the way we do, remember to pin our drugs, remember to do all these things, we can fucking throw 100 grams of blueberries on side of a meal and throw some green beans in with our chicken and rice. We can, cut up some cucumber. We can make these things happen, guys. We don't need to just eat just chicken and rice like all the time.
And I will say, as someone who has, like, literally the first time I ever got in trouble with my dad growing up, I still remember it to this day. It's the first time I got paddled on the ass was because he wouldn't let me leave the dinner table to eat my vegetables and I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
As someone who has eaten chicken and rice and beef and rice with a sauce for like 5 years straight, guys, it adds so much
Yeah, it makes the food
flavor
taste
and it
better.
it makes it like, dude, I ate the sauerkraut, carrot, and cucumber meal like 3 weeks ago and I was like, You ever watch SpongeBob growing up?
Yeah.
It felt like the episode where the dude put jelly on the Krabby Patty
Yeah,
the
it's
first
like the
time and
best
he's singing on
invention
a
ever.
desk and he's telling everybody about it. I ate that and I was like, yo, this is like actually fucking good.
Doesn't he
And I was
break
like, I
into
could.
song in that episode about the
Yeah,
fucking
I
Krabby
was I was
Patty?
just
Yeah.
about to, but then I was like, I'm not singing on the
Yeah.
spot. But no, man, like it adds a ton of flavor. It adds like a different texture. Like I love
Yeah.
the crunch in the carrots and the cucumbers. Green beans are great for chicken and rice. Like mixed veggies are awesome on like a stir fry. Like if you're doing like a teriyaki soy sauce kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
and I tell people too, like there is like an actual like psychological like aspect of nutrition that no one talks about with like having
That
more
brain
color
connection, baby.
diversity. Yes, dude, like having more color on your plate is going to increase your want for the food.
Yeah.
Like that's a real fucking thing.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a big one I'll get is like guys are like, oh well, in the off season when I'm eating 7,000 calories, so there's ain't no way I'm eating vegetables. I'm like, so you can put down 7,000 calories of chicken and rice, but you tell me you can't
But you
add
can't
50
put 100
grams
grams.
of fucking vegetables
Yeah.
to a couple of
Yeah.
those meals. It's just
Yeah.
like it's just people being lazy and honestly being full of shit.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's in every plan. Like literally, I have guys eating 5,000-6,000 calories right now, and they still have fruits and vegetables in their plan, and they're still eating their fruits and
Tons.
vegetables. And it's just it should just be something that should be automatic at this point because we have enough information as bodybuilders to know you are literally less healthy when you don't eat those things.
Dude. And like it's such easy carbs. Like if you're in the off season trying to push food, do you know how many calories you can get in a fucking bowl of grapes?
I mean, shit,
Like
you can even go to dried fruit
calories.
too. Like you can
Yeah,
go
dude, like
fruit,
dried mango.
yeah.
Like, bro, like it's easy calories. It's so delicious and it's so got like, bro, I love pounding pineapple and kiwi. Like those, like and Honey Crisp. I could talk all day about fruit, but it's if I had a guy come to me this past year that was at like 6,000 calories a day, bro. And I remember I looked at the plan and I was like, so where are the fruits and veggies? And he was just like, oh, yeah, he just was like, you can have them if you want. You don't have to have it. And he was working with a well-renowned coach, mind you, that does very well.
Oh yeah,
And
I have multiple who are from well-renowned coaches on my roster who weren't eating fruits and vegetables.
Not a single fruit and veggie. And then I got him. We did a cleanup phase, and I had him at like probably 1,500 calories to 1,700 calories less.
Yeah.
He's bigger now.
Yep.
He's tighter now. His mental health has been significantly improved from that, not just from the drug protocol design. And he sent me a photo the other day of him at 215 with his old coach and 215 with me. And he's like, bro, this is absolutely crazy. And we're eating like 1,500 calories less. And I'm like, yeah, bro, because you're eating some real fucking nutrients for once.
Well, you're eating real nutrients, and like if you get to the point where your digestive health is so bad because you don't have fiber, you don't have diversity for like your gut microbiome and
You're
stuff,
not gonna grow,
that food's
bro.
just fucking going through you like it was for Lance.
Correct.
He was shitting liquid, and probably like half of that food wasn't doing shit for him.
Nothing.
You know?
My pumps were, dude, that phase of like, truthfully, it's crazy. Like, I always joke, like, I am like the worst person where like I'm a very big advocate of I have to eat concrete with my face in order for me to learn lessons sometime. And I'm trying to get better about that. But that was like, dude, 4 weeks of hell. I would literally eat and shit 3 times, eat and shit 2 times. And then it's just coming out of you. So you go to the gym and you have no strength. You have no energy. Bro, my brain fog was like the worst it's ever been through that 4-week stretch.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think we pretty much beat that to a pulp, but like guys, seriously,
Eat your fruits and
eat your
veggies.
fruits and vegetables. Like
Stop.
it's one of the
Also,
very few
you're-
simple things we can do to be
You're an adult now.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this and you're a grown ass adult, it's not that hard.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I like to do a lot of like you know, I know it's trendy, but I like to do some of the probiotic foods too. Like a lot of my people have some sauerkraut in their plan. Sometimes
They're great
like
for you,
Kyle
bro.
had a kombucha in his prep, like for on his training days for like most of his prep. Just had a
Oh, for real?
kombucha, just fucking middle of the day kombucha.
Dude, they're great too. And like the big thing is too is I always tell people it's like anything, right? Like if you go from being fat to in shape, now you don't want to change because you saw the quality of your life improve. You'll notice the exact
Yep.
same thing if you're listening to this and you're someone that doesn't implement those things. Trust me, as someone who didn't eat them for like 20 plus years of his life, every aspect of your life with training, nutrition, sleep, like your mental health, like your fucking cognitive function, all these things improve by just bringing in those basics.
Yep. Basic foundational building blocks.
Yeah, easy stuff.
I don't think I have anything else too crazy. I had some screenshot from the other day, but I think we're coming up on an hour 20 here, so I think honestly we could probably just call that an episode, man.
Yeah, fucking A. Well, I'm happy I got to find some time to sneak this in. I'll be swapping over programs the entire night and on the drive to St. Louis.
Okay, we're gonna hit one more on our way out. What are your goals for
What do
this
we got?
podcast? Just, I would say for me, honestly, just to like have fun with it, and like I love bodybuilding. I love talking about bodybuilding. That's why me and Lance have become friends so quickly, is because we just both love talking about bodybuilding. So sometimes you're gonna
Yeah.
get on here like tonight, and you know, this episode we went on some heavy rants. So sometimes you're gonna get like crazy rants that go on for 5-10 minute monologues, and sometimes we're gonna bang out 20-30 questions because people are asking us stuff. If you guys ask us stuff, I just want to talk about bodybuilding, and I wanted to have a platform to do that. And so when Lance approached me about the idea of us doing our own thing here, I was like, yeah, no brainer, man. Just give me the opportunity to, provide more value and talk about something that I absolutely fucking love to death.
100%, dude. Yeah, no, man. Goals with the podcast? I mean, to be honest, I really didn't have any major goals. My goal was just another way for me to be able to share my opinions and have a conversation with someone that I really respect and I really enjoy talking to. There's a lot of not so amazing people in this industry,
As
and
you will find out the more time you spend in it.
yeah, and just having a few conversations with Colton and just kind of, I kind of knew who he was prior, but like getting a chance to talk with him and just how helpful he has been, like even with just me bouncing ideas off him. Not every coach is like that. Some coaches are like, you have to pay me $400 for an hour of my
Yeah.
time, whereas Colton and I have just kind of collaborated on conversations and talked about case scenarios. And after him and I chatted for like 2 days, a little bit more back and forth about Kyle's prep and Bailey's prep, I was like, man, we're having some like really great conversation that I think just audience members and people that again love the sport would get a lot of value out of. And at the end of the day, me and Colton are going to always shoot you guys straight. If we don't have an answer for something, I can sure as hell tell you that motherfucker's TISM and my ADHD are going to go find an answer for whatever you guys want to learn about. But we're just two buds that just really love bodybuilding, and we want to make sure that, people are getting real education and they're getting real honesty and they're getting it straight from the butcher. Like we want to make sure that you guys are learning something, and hopefully everyone is taking something away from this, because Colton and I love this sport. This is all we want to do. This is all we want to talk about. And hopefully you guys can like feel that and gain that value from this podcast.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that it goes back to what you said. I am a very, and my clients know this about me too. Just kind of how I am. Like if I'm comfortable with someone, I'm very talkative, but I've also become kind of guarded in this space because I've gotten burned by a
Same.
lot of people
Same.
already since I've been in this space.
Plenty.
And Lance is someone that I genuinely feel is a genuine person, and so that's
Appreciate it.
why I've invested in this venture with him, is because I know that we see eye to eye about things, and we have a similar level of respect for each other, and a similar level of respect for just the space and how we treat people. And so, yeah, that at the end of the day is really it. And, I hope that people just get something out of this every time that they decide to tune in for an hour and 20 minutes of us yapping, so. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's a good way to end it. Thanks for everybody who hung around for the entire episode, giving us like an hour and 20 minutes of your time on a Wednesday night. It's kind of crazy. I mean,
Hell yeah.
it really has been really cool, and I'm really appreciative for everybody who has been watching, man. So
For real.
seriously. All right, guys, we're gonna sign it out. We will see you. I'm not sure when. I think we're going to still try to record these next few weeks. Lance has a pretty busy schedule, so we're going to try and make it
We'll
work.
make it work.
Yeah.
We're going to make it work. We're going to get one in every single week. I won't miss.
All right. Bye, everybody.